Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for purchasing this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews. For purchase and pricing, reach out to me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the vibrant and lush 2018 Patek Philippe 5270 1R-001 Perpetual Calendar Chronograph, the first rose gold full bracelet 5270, a timepiece that represents possibly the most opulent version of Patek Philippe's most iconic complication. Now, the timepiece, as you can see, is elaborate, though reasonably shaped to fit well on a smaller wrist. 41 millimeters in diameter, the timepiece measures a very reasonable 12.9 millimeters thick. The spacing between the lugs is 21 millimeters, and because this one's on a bracelet, there are two different ways to measure its size across the wrist. Lug to lug, that is just the lugs, it's 49.5 millimeters, but if you add the end links of the bracelet, it expands to 52.5 millimeters. Now we'll throw it on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist for a look. As you can see, it's flat, it's flush, it'll easily slide underneath the cuff, both because it's thin and because its side is ramped. It's broad across the wrist, though not oppressively so, and you can see that the shape of the lugs do actually aid in the fit as the lugs curve down and around a smaller wrist. I could recommend it for a wrist as small as 14.5 centimeters circumference on the bracelet. It does feel solid. You realize you're getting a lot of precious metal here. It's the kind of watch that feels exactly as you'd imagine an ultra luxury timepiece would. Substantial, meaty. Let's take a look at the bracelet. As you can see, it's a lovely 5-link design, nicely polished, all polished in fact, and because it does have big gaps between the links, it's the best option if you wish to own one of these watches in a tropical or hot climate, as it vents well and you'll ultimately save money on dozens of strap replacements over the course of the watch's life. Now, it uses a double clamshell, and you can see there are ceramic spring-loaded pin snaps internally so that the tolerances of the clasp will not erode over time as the metal cannot aggress against the ceramic. As Patek Philippe is wont to do, we have pins and sleeves for sizing the removable links right here, so you'll need a punch and a block if you want to size this bracelet at home. As you can see, the internal part of the clasp, the chassis, is curved to trace the arced underside of your wrist, a lovely little Calatrava cross on the clamshell lock, and then we roll back to the case where you can see Patek Philippe case making has made enormous strides over the last 20 years, as this is a complex welded lug profile. You can see the lugs are made separately and then welded on with evidence of the joint then removed. This is sophisticated case making, and it is emblematic of the best in the business, and Patek now joins the ranks of the case-making specialists as one of the finest in the biz. You can see that the case is all of high polish, and the bezel is handsome with a conical section as well as two vertical sections. There's an outer vertical section and an inner vertical section with a lovely conical slope between them. There's a handsome fluting to the lugs themselves, as well as a faceting that gives this watch a hard-edged aesthetic masculinity. You can see that there are vintage-inspired rectangular pushers that are actually satinated on their sides and polished on their outer face. The timepiece is gracefully integrated, as there is a pass-through integral to the end links, so you can adjust the calendar with the bracelet in place. Now let's get a little bit closer to the dial, and you can see Patek made the superb decision to match the date discs or the calendar discs to the dial. So the dial is a lovely black lacquer, and the discs themselves are black with the exception of the leap year indicator. You have a tachometer outboard to allow the reading of the speed of an object. It could be miles per hour, it could be kilometers per hour. The base is 1,000, so it lends itself to kilometers, but there are no units. You also have a lovely set of frosted finish hands for the chronograph register. You can see how the chronograph seconds as well as minutes are frosted. You'll note the instantaneous jump if you want to back up 5 seconds to see that. The timepiece features a perpetual calendar with rose gold frames for the day, the month. Obviously, you have a radial indication of the date. There's a frame for the leap year, and then there's a small aperture for the day and the night. So you can see right here we are in the evening and we are passing into the night. Or I could be wrong, and that could be moving in the opposite direction. It might be 6 a.m. Yes, it is 6 a.m. and we are passing into the day. That's your day-night indicator. It's not just handy, it's there to prevent you from accidentally actuating the calendar during the night, something you should not do. Never adjust the calendar using the pushers at night. There is a moon phase with an adjustment interval of 122 years, and that's remarkable because the Perpetual Calendar itself can deal with leap years and irregular length months, but it does need to be adjusted at the factory in the year 2100. The moon phase, not so. Roll it all over. By the way, you can see rose gold applique indices, including diamond-style faceted indices for the lower portion of the dial. And we have Patek manufactured caliber CH 29520 535 PSQ. Now, taking a look at the movement, you can see it is immaculate in its execution, handsomely finished. Let's talk about the technical basics. You have a column wheel, which is capped and black polished, with a lateral clutch, which is fully jeweled. Manual wind, 65-hour power reserve, beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It is adjusted in 6 positions. It has a Gyromax-style free-sprung architecture with a handmade overcoil hairspring to allow it to keep excellent time via concentric hairspring beating in those 6 timed and adjusted positions. You can see there's a little rack and pawl, or a pawl and wheel, that is used for the jumper of the minute display. And then you have 33 jewels. You have a larger movement than the prior Lamagna base, and everything is hand finished. 30 meters water resistant, and you can see that there are satinated steel components for the chronograph with beveled sides. You can see that there are brass rhodium coated bridges and plates for the primary movement, as well as the chronograph bridges. You can see that all of the bridges, as well as levers, horns, and recentering hammers, have a mirror bevel on their edge. The same has been executed on all of jewel and screw countersinks. All screw heads are black polished on their top with chamfered slots and circumference, and you can see there is engine turning on the base plate, outboard as well as below. Let me try to get this back in focus. Below the balance, perfectly aligned abrasive wheel laid Côte de Genève across the bridges, and there is nothing to be desired here in terms of finish. It is Patek Philippe's highest standard. The combination of finish and high-level spec with 6-position adjustment and the overcoil hairspring, allowing the watch to keep time to no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per day. That is what the Patek Philippe seal means in this watch. There is an objective standard of timing precision. Again, 65-hour manual wind power reserve with a tactile quality to the detent of the crown and the column wheel of the chronograph pushers that is among the best in the business and worth the price of admission by itself. This is the Patek Philippe 5270 1R, the first full bracelet rose gold 5270. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.